I had a question for you guys that I got down. It's how has being a part of a creative community influenced your work and growth as an artist?
For me personally, like I started working with some videography guys, and that's been really cool. Just like creating that collaboration of making content, and it's increased my content I'm putting out to the public and my like people that follow me, hoping to gain more and grow. But just like working with another creative person is so much fun, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
it
sure.
makes it such a better experience.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like
oh,
you
and
need that.
grow,
I feel
yeah.
like you need. I feel like I feel like myself. I that's where I am stumped at. So like that's why I've reached out to people who are videographers. Where I'm like, hey, what do you think would be a good setup for my studio? Where should I stand? Or just little tips and tricks to then help inspire and just motivate to do it. Like okay, like now I know he said. Go here, do this, do that, wear these colors, and that's a start.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's just doing it over and over, and then
Yeah.
and keep that
I
consistency.
think
I think.
life's about figuring out you can't do everything yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't wear all the hats.
Yep.
No.
See, it's good to know the community, to have your friends who have those other hats and,
Yeah.
and collaborate. Yeah.
It took a lot for me to like find my creative kind of circle because for a while, I started making music. I started as an artist during like when COVID hit. Like COVID hit, and I'm by myself, and just that's when I started writing. So I didn't feel like I had. So I was just trying to do everything by myself. And then, about a year later or so, once like the world was opening back up and I started meeting new people and figuring out like, okay, this is what I like. This is what they're showing me. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, and we start helping each other out, and finding that creative space, especially people that are, I wouldn't say just have more experience than you. Just have been in the game longer and have more
Yeah.
advice and more things to offer and more ways to put themselves in a situation. I like I love being around people that
Yeah.
have that brain. It's like, what if we did this? What if we tried this? What if we tried this? Because for a while I was just like not getting that.
Yeah.
So it's cool to get those, that
No, I'm the
influence.
same way. I love, like, I feed off of energy. So for me, I can be very particular about the people who I hang around because it's an energy thing for me. And even just like a few times whenever I work with Juan, like it's just, I feel like we have a very good understanding of each other. And I feel like that's important as an artist when you're collaborating with people, is that you're able to invite people in the space, and sometimes it could be very sacred. Like me, I'm introverted, so
Right.
it's kind of hard to be extroverted. But with the right people, I think it just helps me to bring myself out of my shell.
For sure. What about you, Juan?
I would say, oh man. So the question was, what are some challenges? Oh no, hold on. Hold on. I wrote it down. Hold on. You said it was how has being a part. Which question did I just ask you? Because I have like tons.
Not him. Not.
Yeah, that's a whole-
I have a whole list for you
The
guys.
creative community, like, because I talked about collaboration. So,
What do I like? What is it to me? Collaborating.
no, like, how is it to have other creatives in your life?
Oh, that to me, I feel like I feel like they're needed because sometimes what I'm mixing down might not be what I think I'm hearing. So like, there's times where I'm going through stuff and like Charlotte will be like, "What was that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I was just going through some stuff. You like that?" She's like, "Yeah, that was cool." And then I go back and it's now it becomes something that I'm like, "Oh, cool. I'm gonna store this in my arsenal."
Yeah.
So now I put that on the side now as like a way to like a tool now. Now I'm like, okay, this cool distortion or this effect on this voice now. I'm like, I know I have it at my disposal now for the next thing. It might not work for that same purpose, but maybe now a guitarist might come in. I'm like, let me throw it on a guitar now and see what creativity it sparks.
Yeah.
Expand
So that's
your
kind of how. But yeah, other than that, I'm just over here just going through a lot of my questions for you guys. And
Well, my question is, what are you working on right now?
Yeah.
well, I'm working with Charlotte right now, and we are working on a few of her singles and possibly some new material. We're just trying to come up with some a new sound, just trying to we go through a lot of I would say phases of like, oh, let's try to make this kind of song and this, and then like our last session has probably been one of the most creative sessions. um we brought a bass player and we brought a keyboard player, um and Charlotte brought her guitar and she did vocals, and I felt like it was just more like a jam session. And the inspiration I got from that was I was just watching a YouTube video one time, and it was Justin Timberlake and Timbaland or Pharrell or somebody in the studio, and they're just messing around. Like there was nothing
justified.
Yeah.
it wasn't like you could just tell they were just hanging out.
That video.
So that's how I played it out that day. I'm like, I'm just gonna go with this unscripted, like,
yes.
And then I just walked out the room and let them do their thing, and then I came back, and then I'm like, ooh, they got something. Let's just go with that.
That video you're talking about, it's like 10 hours. Of
Yeah, I'll watch that as for
Oh
inspiration.
my God, I just sit there and watch it. Like when they're making that "Damn, I love you," like,
Yeah.
and they're just like talking and they're just talking about how they're
Right.
making it. Like it's crazy. I love those creative like, and it's all on YouTube. You can just sit and watch
Yeah,
it.
it's so cool. YouTube's so cool.
I have a random question for you, but did you ever draw with Bob Ross on TV?
you know-
Like followed along?
Actually, so my first daughter, when she was born, when I was like stuck in home in that rocking chair, like the first 3 weeks, like breastfeeding and stuff, I watched like most of all the Bob Ross.
Really?
Yeah, I just sat there. I was like, I want to learn while I'm stuck
Yeah.
at home. So I was watching a lot of Bob Ross and just like a lot of like old traditional oil painting videos and just
Yeah.
weird stuff like that. But
Did the Bob Ross videos like help though? Like, is that like, was it like legitimate like stuff? Or?
you know, I've tried some of his techniques. It's not really for me. It's not really
Yeah.
my style, but it's cool.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I
it.
always wondered like if he was actually him.
So I got a question for all you guys too. Is like, do you guys feel there's enough support or resources for artists where you're based? What would you like to see more of?
I feel like the Quad Cities is trying.
Yeah, I was
You know,
gonna say that's right.
for artists, Quad City Arts has the Artist Index, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I will like sometimes someone will reach out to me about illustrating a book or something. I'm like, that's not what I do. But you can go check out the Artist Index and maybe find an artist around here that could help you. So that's,
And that's on their website? Or?
yeah, on their website. You can, I think, is it musicians? Can they sign in? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I've gotten a ton of opportunities just from that. I think the thing is with even with resources like that is everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
Every part of the community. If you were to go into my church on Sunday and like tell them that there's an artist index for us to just like get music to have somewhere, they'd be like, "What?"
Yeah, they got no clue.
You know what I mean? Or if you were to go like into the 11th Street Jesse's Mart and just be like, "Yo, like you can make a podcast right now at this place for $20."
Right.
They'd be like, "Huh? Are you serious?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think it's all about like the resources need to be everywhere because the resources are only in one spot. And I know of those resources because I'm in those places, but like there needs to be representation everywhere. And in order to do that, you need to get the people that are a part of those communities to see what you're doing so that they can speak on your behalf rather than, you know what I mean? Like there needs to be a bigger bridge to gap. And I've thought about this for a while. Like, why isn't it this way? Or why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? And working in this sector and like seeing how it's ran, we just need to have it. Everybody needs to have the same.
And I think that comes down to just like, who's the person who puts the energy into making it happen?
Right. Yeah, for sure. And like it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's
to
a
be able
ton
to,
of
you
work.
know, and so like who's willing?
So I applaud what they've done so far.
Most
But
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff like this. Like there are great resources for artists right now, and as somebody who's been in different parts and have seen, you know, the Chicago area of music or St. Louis or things like that, we're doing a good job, and people need to understand that we are doing a good job because they're expecting something a lot, and we could totally get there, but I think we are doing a good job. We just have to. It needs to be on all fronts.
Yeah. And I've seen a big difference, like even with Common Chord, like I feel like it's gotten more diverse.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with community. Like I remember like being the only like black kid in music camp, and that was a
Right.
little weird.
Right.
But I feel like it's definitely
Oh
been
yeah,
more
and
diverse now.
my passion is like the next generation of musicians, and
Mm-hmm.
like seeing how we can, like how they can grow, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a ton of really smart kids in this area, and there's a ton of kids that want to be musicians in this area. So there's a lot of resources that I also want other communities to know about, of those camps, of those
Mm-hmm.
kid stock camps, or QC Rock Academy, and things. You can learn an instrument, you can learn to be in a band, and you can be 10 years old.
That's so cool.
You know what I mean? And that's awesome. A lot of places don't have that. So that's that's how I feel. So
What do you guys feel? What are the gaps or needs in the creative community that CEI aim to address?
I think the whole like businesses not knowing how to book things, how to reach out to artists, how to, as far as that infrastructure is concerned, CEI is gonna like be like, so here's how I can put you to this. Here's this person. I can just drag you here.
Yep.
Or even in the just having resources for artists to be able to get to be a part of those venues that are booking regularly, and those solo duo places that are booking regularly, and have the same people every time. That can change with CEI because there's a bigger microscope on it. So I think over time things are going to start really shift, and you'll see a lot of diversity in the artistry around here because of what CEI is going to do.
Heck
I like
yeah.
that. I think that's a good thing that you said that, because it's the community of CEI. I think it's gonna just help the younger generation, just where it's follow along and pass along that same the advice that you might have for some student that you're teaching how to play an instrument. You're like, hey, have you heard of CEI? You can come here, and you might even have an instrument for them to practice on, or pass them on to someone who is like, hey, you know what, I don't do that, but you know what, Atlanta,
Get 'em
she's
connected with the resources that
yep,
they need.
exactly.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you can go hand in hand, so if like you feel like there's a missing piece,
Yep.
I think CEI will be the home for that, so that you can just look around and see, like, hey, I can grab from there, I can grab from there, and now I can bring my idea to life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like if somebody comes up to you and it's like, hey, like, you're a creative, you make murals, and you're like, no, but I know this person who does.
Right.
There needs to be more of that.
Right.
Yeah.
There needs to be more of, no, but I know this person I can put you in contact
Right.
with.
Yeah, I do that a lot with the arts. Is like people reach out, do you do portraits? I'm like, no, but I got your girl.
Yeah.
Do you do sign painting or pinstriping? I'm like, no, but I got a guy for you.
Right, exactly. So it's like
Connecting them.
That's another way to really. I feel like the primary way to share resources is to be like, I can't do this. Is not my capability, but I know this person that does that can help you. You know what I mean? And that's I feel like a big goal of CEI is just like, here's this other person though
Right.
that can get you what you need.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be real cool. Like, even on the for me, I feel like musically, like, I can't wait till the CEI the program, it just grows into where I can be like, hey, I need a writer, I need a producer.
Yep.
And I can pick from like 5 people, it's not just one person. And I think what's going to be also cool about that it's not only going to be something that you could just connect with someone through like your town. You could literally connect with someone through on the internet.
Yep.
And now it's like they're part of this community, and I think that's what's cool, to find that and be able to have that and help just create something that you thought was impossible.
Yeah.
I feel like we're living in like a very fast-paced society where like we have everything at our fingertips. So I feel like this is just another thing that will help to give people quick access to those resources.
Yep.
I like the idea of like sharing our experiences, maybe asking questions, or either sharing like what worked with the project or what didn't work with the project, having those conversations in a public forum
Yeah.
would be really
Yeah.
cool. And getting insights from other creatives, like you guys do music, I do art, to see those inputs is really cool.
Yeah.
Perspectives.
Yeah. And also just like highlighting opportunities that, maybe you can't take at the time, or things that you can't that, we just don't have the ability to do. Hey, I have this so and so gig, or I have this and this and this. Somebody's looking for a piano player for a couple hours who wants, is there anyone willing? And you just drop it in the comments, and it's like,
Yeah,
all right, cool.
and you find your person like that.
You know what I mean? Like that is more than useful. And sometimes you use Facebook as that.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
like I
see
think
that.
to have just creatives
Yeah.
and just people about their platform.
But
I think it's got.
I think one of the most important, the most beneficial thing that out of CEI that is going to come, I believe that is going to come out of it is going to be the financial side of things, because a lot of the times that's one of the biggest struggle, trying to figure out how to price your work.
Yep.
And how to approach that conversation with somebody and valuing your work, not just lowballing yourself to try to make a little bit of money. You know what I mean?
I remember the first client meeting I went to where I had to tell them like a price. I was so scared.
Yeah, it's scary. It's still scary. Like I just asked to do an event at a museum, and I was like, well, and they're like, we want 3 hours of music and a full band, and can you provide sound? And I was like, all right, this is the price that we would usually give if we're doing that. And I was scared because I thought the price was so big, and they're like, okay.
Yeah. And it's I felt
Yeah,
like
it's
a lot.
like-
We're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know why I was just freaking out. Like, we're good, So, like that situations like that where it's like, it's okay to feel. Oh, bye, Juan.
Guys, I got
Bye.
Juan's leaving.
Peace out, one.
All right.
Yeah.
See you later, bud.
This is really cool, actually.
It was
Yeah, I
sweet.
think so. Well, can you send me the? Never mind.
You like same thing.
That's awesome.
How do you guys deal with like there's I feel like there's always like the standard of like pay or whatever that's depending on where you live, and it's
Yeah.
like, how do you deal with that? Like they're like, well, this is what we normally pay
So
musicians.
I do
like,
trial and error. You figure out like what your time's worth, and you throw someone a price. And if they're like, heck no, then you need to make money and you need to get the gig. So you kind of gauge it to what they'll pay. But then as you keep getting customers or people who are paying you, you just figure out like what people are comfortable paying with. And then once you realize you're giving more of a service, like he said, he's going to pay for 3 hours.
Right.
Well, if he just played an hour somewhere and it was like $300, 3 hours, you like at least have to make $900. But then on top of that full band and all the equipment and sound, like you're looking at maybe $2,000 then. So like you have to calculate all the costs of things into the, like people need to understand and you need to break it down to them. Like like it costs this for my sound and it costs this for my, I don't know what for music. So I can't
Yeah,
relate,
no,
but
but it's real because people will be like, hey, like people on the surface who like aren't musicians, they don't play an instrument, they just like things, and they're just like, hey, we want a band, and you're like, okay, do you have any sound or anything? Is it whatever? Like, what is the situation? And they're like, we just want a band. We don't know what it takes. We just want a band. And so, like, I had to go through, a season where I was like, I don't know what to ask, but I need experience right now.
Yeah.
So I started out with whatever you can give me.
yeah, I started like
You
that
know,
too. You
I
build
was
that
like-
portfolio and you kind of,
Yeah, and once I build the portfolio, once you get to a point where like you have music, I mean, you have like art to represent yourself, and somebody can look you up and be like, all right, this is what they do. Then that's when your price could be established. I don't know.
yeah, I agree with that. My sister's a musician and she's kind of broke it down. Like, let's say she's traveling to Wisconsin and she's got 3 bandmates and it's only $1,000 gig. You have to pay, like you're dividing that up between your bandmates. So there's 4 of you. So you're maybe getting like $300. Well, gas might have cost $100.
Yep.
And like, you gotta figure all that out.
Yeah. So it's just, and especially in this area, I don't know if it's gotten better, maybe your experiences, but it's the whole, well, this group or solo act or band, they get this much. So why are we paying you more, or why are we doing this? So it's like, it's negotiating too, that I think we've kind of got better with, but it's a little bit of a problem. It's like, okay, they had a 3-piece band, I got a 5-piece band.
Yeah.
I have more people, so I'm gonna have to ask for more.
Probably all about your following too. Like if you can tell that bar owner you can guarantee to bring in 100 people,
Yeah.
well, that's like they're gonna make like $5,000 on alcohol sales. So
Right.
that you need to know how much value you're bringing their business too.
1000%.
Yeah.
So it's all about, I think it's all about value and you valuing yourself, knowing that this is what I possess. This is what I'm good at. I have this established and this is what I can offer to you. We have people that come into our venue all the time that are like, oh, we're going to sell it out. And then they don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's such a hard, it's hard
to like, cause like being younger and like up and coming, like I feel like it's harder for me to establish myself just because people have seen me grow up and
Sure.
they still see me where I
Yep.
used to be.
Yep.
And it's hard to kind of establish like look, this is me now. Like,
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm professional. I'm 21 now.
Yeah. Okay. You'll be breaking past that barrier.
Oh, go to that mic.
Go to this one.
You're transforming into a woman,
Yeah.
and you need to figure out like how you want that woman to appear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, dude.
Yeah.
I went out like the other night and like it's just I don't know why I'm talking about going out. But oh yeah, okay. But yeah, since then I feel like I've been trying to live life, you know. I feel like sometimes I'm so busy and I'm just so into my craft and like sometimes there needs to be breaks and there needs to be times where you can decompress
Rest.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's really cool? Journaling.
oh
Like just writing out thoughts just without constraints is what I was trying to say.
Oh.
Just free flowing and going and writing anything and everything. And maybe in those that journaling you write about who you want to be or how you want to
Yeah.
appear. And then you go back on that like a month later and you reflect on it because we forget things, like we'll think something in the moment and then we forget about it.
Yep.
But if we write it down and we look back on it like a month or two later, then you're like, oh yeah, I wanted that, and they're like, okay, wait, how can I get back to that?
Yes.
So you can help that like define who you want to be.
Yeah, totally. And you know, I can attest to you as well, like someone who I grew up in the area. I grew up under a pastor. Everyone's known me all my life. So they see me as what they've watched me grow up.
yeah.
And like I've always been that kind of kid. But like I'm not that now. And you grow into yourself and there's still people that are like, man, you're gonna be a preacher just like your dad. You're gonna be a pastor just like your dad. And I'm like, I don't know where you're getting it. Like, have you been to a show? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, that is not what I'm doing. And like, it's okay, you know, but I've always had to deal with that. And like the way I got through that and worked through that is like kind of just identifying yourself with yourself and like not, because it could be tough. I'm still fighting through this stuff. Like there's still people that see me. Oh, I remember when you were just, you know, and I'm like, so do I. But like, it's a different day and age.
Then people will ask for like favors and stuff, and it's
they'll
like
use that against you.
I don't know. Like if I say no, I feel like you'll be mad at me and
Yeah.
not like me anymore.
Totally. They'll pull the hey, I know your family. Can you
Like
go
guilt you know?
Yeah. Can you do this? Can you come do this? And I'm getting better at the word no.
No, oh my god, it's so hard.
That's so
It's
hard.
tough because I'm like, oh my gosh, I went through this about last year and there was an event and they wanted me to come perform for like an hour, and I was like, and they were like, we asked your dad and he said that you would do it, and I'm
Yes, that's always like the.
and I'm like,
my
well, excuse
parents
me,
say,
what? Well, you asked my dad, he's not me. And like my dad was probably like, yeah, he'd probably say, yeah, just give him, here's his number, like whatever. And they took that as I said yes. And I'm like, what? So they contact me and they're like, see you Saturday. And I'm like, whoa. So, but because I was, especially events like that where they have something set in stone and they're like, I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to go do it.
Yeah.
And then I get there and they're like, oh, we just got somebody else. We didn't know. I'm like, what?
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's
I'm
just
like,
yeah.
So people will still call me Little Corey. They'll call me, oh, Lil. And I'm like, dude, that's not even, I understand my name is CJ and I'm Corey Jr. But like, you don't have to belittle me and then not compensate me or not treat me like a professional because you quote unquote know me. That's been a tough thing to work through. And I've like this past year, especially since I got really busy, there are things that I've been being asked to do. And I'm just like, sorry, I just can't commit to that, right now. I apologize. I don't even know why I'm apologizing. I just feel like I can't commit to that right now. Sorry. Like it's tough.
Yeah,
You're better than me, man. I take like at least 5 business days to like reply back, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, sorry, I was busy.
I just be like, nope.
I had to marinate on it, think about it,
Yeah.
decide if it was for me.
Yeah. It's an immediate, I'll just be like, no. But is there ever a situation where you you agree to something,
Yeah.
like maybe it's contractually, maybe it's not, but you agree to something and then you get there and it is not what you agreed to?
In terms of like expectation of like,
Or like just like, so say I signed a contract and it said I would be getting $1,000 and they have a writer, they have all the things like load in, sound check, everything, whatever, or and then you get there and it's like, we actually don't have that.
yeah.
And we don't have anything backlined. So did you bring an instrument? And we
Yeah.
don't. So like, has
I
there
have.
been any?
Yeah, I have had instances where I didn't necessarily know the important details of like equipment, like what did I need to bring with me. There was one gig in particular that I didn't know if I was supposed to bring sound or not, and she's just like, "Oh, it's fine. You can just play your guitar or whatever." But for me, I took it as kind of a big deal when I showed up and they didn't have any like sound, and I was just like, I felt like I needed it for that room that I was in. So yeah, it was just one of those gigs where I just had to, power through it. But I just remember being like, man, I wish like they would have told me beforehand,
Yeah, but that just helps you grow in your business side, learning to be better with that communication and asking those
Yeah.
questions ahead of time, just making sure it's
Yeah.
all what you need.
And the reason I ask is because like, especially with the CEI stuff, having something where it's like, here's how you create your contract. Like here's what it's for, and this is what you do, and this is what, because I had to learn by like not having contracts and then getting $25 after like a sellout show. Like, and so I have to start to realize what you write up, what you give to people, things like that. So I had to learn that trial and error, but hopefully we have the like, that phase to where we can give it to an artist and be like, here's what you do so that you don't have to go through all the stuff that, I was going through. Because there was a show out of town in the summer we pulled up and they're like, we have drums backline, we have the keyboard backline for you guys, and we show up and it is a snare.
Oh man,
Wow.
Just a snare drum. Just one snare drum. And those those like Yamaha, it's like the Yamaha keyboards with the speaker on it and you touch it and it's got the lights. And it's got like the light when you play it. It's like all blinky. So they had that. They had that and they didn't have a sustain pedal and they didn't have anywhere to put the keyboard, so they put the keyboard on like a table. And then we were like, what? And the guy, because I had just gotten hired in for this gig, and the guy was like, so we're not going to play.
Yeah.
Because this is nuts. And they're like, oh, like, Uncle Joe's he's bringing the rest of his drum set right now. He'll be a little late. Like, we're just like, no. Yeah, exactly.
Joe.
My point. So like, there's, I'm situations like that. I'm learning, and I would say like, yeah, they need management. Exactly. Oh, I need management. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but I don't know anybody that manages either. So yeah, so you know what? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about like the whole having someone. How would you say you are with your schedule?
I don't know what schedule. I don't have one right now.
for me with painting, I finally got to a point where I started booking out to like the next year. So like I started by last year. I made a post on Facebook. I was like, hey, I'm trying to get like fill up my calendar for next year to kind of figure out like what I can afford.
Yeah.
And so I'd have a business reach out and they messaged me like, hey, I want this month. I want this month. I want this. And I'm like, okay. And then as people are messaging me, I'm like, I'm not available until this month. And then it goes in that direction, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then I just like block out that whole month for that business. And then as the year's coming closer to that date, then I figure out how long that project may actually take, and it may only be like a week project. So then I start filling in other projects of people have reached out. So that's been pretty cool and worked really well for me, and I've stayed consistently busy. So I'm pretty blessed.
Cool. So you wouldn't say that you like there are things in your calendar a lot? Like you don't use like Google Calendar?
I use Google Calendar. I love Google Calendar. 100%. I'll just put everything in the Google Calendar, and that's how I stay organized.
Yeah, no, seriously.
I love
What
it.
about you?
It's really hard with being in school right now.
Yep.
It's like I have a
You're
full
still growing
schedule.
into your place.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure things out, and I'm a really bad procrastinator. So,
Yikes.
There's hope for you because I used to be that way. So there's hope. Don't worry.
yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah, I was terrible,
Yeah.
and I'm like half terrible now.
No, you grow out. You grow out.
Because so I have like my work calendar, which is like on Outlook, and then I have my like calendar, which is like the Gmail one, and that's where I put all my gigs and meetings and stuff. And then my Outlook calendar is just like what I'm doing day to day at work, and I've like found that to be helpful. I think Google Calendar is fire.
Yeah.
I think like it's
And the
the
Drive.
best tool. Yeah.
I love the drive.
Yes, the Drive is perfect. Like Google Calendar is the best tool because you can like invite others to like join. Like you can do that at Outlook too, but not everybody has Outlook. Like Google, you can just like send an invite, or you can just like tell Siri, "Hey, can you put this in?" And it's just in there. And then it like there's like my Outlook calendar also intertwines with my Google calendar if I wanted it to. But I've always been bad with it because, and this is something I'm horrible at. It's like somebody will request something and they'll be like, "Hey, we need you November 10th for this. Can you do this?" And then I don't respond because I know I have something November 10th.
Yeah.
And then 5 days later, I'm like, "Sorry, I can't." And then I get put in a position where I'm like, I feel bad because
Do you feel like it'd be better just to respond right away?
yes,
Yeah, I've learned that too.
1000%.
And I'm like, shoot, I should have just said something
that.
right away. Yeah. But instead I try to think on it, and then even though I know I can't do it.
Yep. And then I figure out, oh well, this ends at 5, and then this starts at 5.
I know. You got to think of it in the perspective that if you say no, they need to find someone else.
Yes.
So that's a good mindset. Like, okay, I'm gonna tell them
that's
no. That way they can try and find someone else to fill that position.
Yes. So that's me. This summer though kicked me in the butt because I said yes to everything,
Yeah.
and then I get to the summer and like I would have a gig in the morning while working an event, and then a gig in Chicago the same day, and I'm like boom, 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 and I come back at 2 a.m. and I'm like, I hated feeling like I was pulling off a day.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I pulled it off. Like, I hated feeling like that. So,
That's exhausting.
as soon as this next quarter happened, I was like, I'm saying no. Like, if it's something that even, I don't know if I can, I'm just going.
I'm gonna share with experience. I told myself the same thing, and I still do it.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
it's totally. Like, I'm still gonna.
When people want you, people need you. Like, it feels good.
Yes, 1000%. You want to do it. And so,
Yeah, and you
it's
don't like letting people down.
Yeah.
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 So there was a situation where I'm like, I want to go teach, and then I want to go to this gig, and then I want to go to this other gig, and I judged a marching band competition, and then like from the march in Southern Missouri, and then drove to Chicago, which is like 6 hours, maybe more.
You're
and
crazy.
I drove to Chicago, barely made it to this gig, and like played the whole gig, and then drove home from Chicago. And I'm like, why am I doing this?
Crazy. I can understand that though, because I would consider myself like a people pleaser. So it's really hard for me to say no because I'm always such a yes person, and I always, my thing is like FOMO. Like I'm always afraid that I'm gonna like miss out on something. So I always say yes, and yeah, it just sometimes it turns out like good, but other
You
times
never
it
know what
doesn't.
the opportunity is gonna lead to, though. Like,
Yeah.
I've
That's
done a
what you
lot of
think.
things where I made a connection with someone that I didn't think I would meet, and that connection led me to 6 more jobs.